Hey everybody,
Yo, John.
welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, the website address is theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Today, I am joined by guest guru, Slava Kristic. He is someone who's a developer actually, and I'm very glad to have him on because lately I've been getting asked for some reason so many questions about EDC, electronic data capture. And while I may know what that is and how it's used at a research clinic, I have no idea about the technical details behind EDCs. I have no idea about the thought process that a developer goes through in order to bring this to you for your clinical trial, for your CRO, for your biotech. So Slava is the founder of Tatida. Is that right? Tatida?
Yep. Tequila. Yep.
It's a startup. It's brand new. He's going to talk to you about his background, and we're going to get into his platform that he's been developing. And then we're going to get into some more specific things like where is EDC used and how can it be custom made for different organizations and how can it be custom made for different studies? What are the data points? We'll get into all that stuff. So Slava, first of all, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be here.
And you are based out of San Diego right now?
Yes, I am in San Diego.
Very nice. So we're almost neighbors. I'm up here in Orange County. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, I am a software developer. I've been doing that for over 20 years. I spent about 10 years in biotech. I worked for Pfizer, for UCSD, for some other biotech companies. Primarily, I do development in .NET lately, Microsoft framework. I spent quite a few years developing with Java and Oracle, primarily for Pfizer and some other gigs. So I can tell you a few words about my application I have, if you want to.
Yeah, Tatita, right? We will be talking about that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
before that, because I do want to get into that, we're going to spend a lot of time on that. I wanted to talk to you, since many of my audience members are familiar with Pfizer. Um, what does Pfizer need from developers like you? Maybe that's a number of questions, but how many people like you do they hire? And what do you guys do once you're hired? Just so we get an idea.
Okay. Well, Pfizer is a huge company, and as any huge company, they need a lot of IT support. And there's different areas of expertise and needs to be provided to their lab support, to their people, staffing, drug management, all different areas. Lab support, they run experiments, which you need to do data collection, you need to manage your drugs, how those drugs get shipped, you need to manage your inventory. So people like me, they hire. Some people work for full time, some people comes in as a contractor for temporarily contracts to help them with build whatever they need to build and whatever need they have. So they support humongous number of applications. And each application supports specific need, right? So, and this is what they hire for. People who have specific expertise for specific product to improve, to add additional functionality, to expand, or sometimes maybe to bring down and migrate data from one application to another. That's
Now,
in general.
was it clinical trials or just across all their business lines?
I think they do it across all their lines.
So
But
you
I cannot.
developed some products for sales as well as for research department.
I did some products, not for sales. I have done a few projects I was working on for export when they would track their drug export. So everything was involved into that process, as well as I did some integration between different instruments in the lab where we would collect the data, do analysis, and process the data.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
also some additional application online which would help clinicians and lab people in the lab to administer the data and just make their life easier.
And how much time did you spend at Pfizer?
Oh, almost 6 years.
Wow. It's a good amount of time. And then, so what, and we're going to talk about Tateta now. What gave you the idea? Something must have given you this idea to make this, or
Well,
did you just
actually,
make it because you were bored and.
no, not because I was bored. Actually, I was bored, but I got approached by people, actually not from Pfizer, people from UCSD I used to work with, and they were starting a clinical trial. They were looking at some applications, what was available. That was a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I'm not sure if they didn't do enough research or what happened. Looks like they found few applications which were very expensive for
mm-hmm,
their budget.
mm-hmm.
So they approached me and asked me if I could help them with pretty much data entry for their studies. They have
So,
specific needs,
so
and they asked me.
UC San Diego, they knew you because of your work through them with Pfizer or
No,
separately
no,
from
no.
that?
UCSD. So I used to work for UCSD there as
Oh, okay.
well.
Oh, okay. I get it. Okay.
I was participating in their research lab as well. That was
I see. And they knew you were technically oriented and they needed help and they said, "Hey, can you do this for us?"
pretty much.
I get it. So they were running a clinical trial or they were at least planning a clinical trial.
At that time, they were planning to
Mhm.
run a clinical trial. And my understanding, they probably exercise different options, going with outsourcing that and run locally. My guess, because they don't have enough money to outsource it, it was more expensive for them. So they decided to run on their own, use their own resources.
Mhm.
But they don't want to use paper trails, right? They want to automate data processing, eliminate uh, type errors, and just make sure everything in electronic format.
Mhm. So they approached you about this and you told them you can do it or at least you can
Yeah,
try.
I work with those guys. It was a lot of communication, a lot of sketches and meetings and back and forth and prototyping and show, well, how's that looks for you? How's that? Do you think that supports what you need? Does it work in the way you expected? And so we built that first product for UCSD.
Okay. And did they end up doing the study and using your platform?
Yeah, it's still they still rank right now. It's the third year, I believe. I don't have exact number of people
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
clinic, but I believe it's maybe around 400 subjects they
Wow.
have.
At their
It's
university.
funny. They no altogether for the study. It's a bipolar
Oh,
study.
okay. So they were one of the sites to do the study.
They are primarily site, yes.
I see. And they're still using your platform to this day?
Yes, first version. I'm on version 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're on the first version. That's correct. Uh,
And what exactly are they do? Are they importing data from the study to your platform, or are they doing something internally with your platform?
no, actually, they do internal. They conduct interview, and this is automated questionnaire.
Ah.
Uh, my software allow you to dynamically build any kind of form questionnaire. So pretty much you can build a form which will support your lab result, and you enter lab result, you enter questionnaire. And the good thing, also my software supports scheduling
Mm-hmm.
and rules for scheduling.
I
So
see. I see.
certain, so let's say you have a subject, that subject has to have an interview every 2 weeks, and for each specific interview, that clinician has to fill a certain number of forms. So
Mm-hmm.
all the data can be scheduled. There's a lot of validation rule, what needs to be done, which forms needs to be filled. If there is changes in medication history for patient, all that data gets recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And
So they're
you
using
know,
it as their internal data capture platform, even though the study itself you may use another EDC for the study.
no,
No.
no, I don't think so. That's self-containing.
Wow.
They use
Okay. Very good.
they use all of it right now.
So
They collect.
do you know, have you thought of approaching the sponsor and asking them, hey, UCSD is using this. Can we perhaps use it for your other sites that you're doing this study with?
No, that's what I said. You see, 10, I think 10 other universities are using that because this is web-based application.
Ah,
So
okay.
it is used by 10 other sites for
Wow.
the same.
Okay, okay. And so what's your next plan for Tateda? Where do you plan to take this?
Well, next step is to go 100% mobile. That means to be totally independent from desktop and run on mobile devices,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like tablets or iPad.
So anyone theoretically at any site on virtually any device can enter data based on their study, and they'd be able to customize it based on their own unique data points that the study would collect.
That's correct, yes.
I see.
Even
So,
though it's supported right now, but next advantage is just be more mobile because right now some functionality is not supported on mobile devices. You have to run them in desktop.
so just so I understand, when you built this platform for UCSD, which they are still using now, you gave them the open source and said any data points you want, you guys create the forms and you can upload them yourself. I don't need to get involved anymore, or are you still
No,
involved?
that's not open source.
Okay, okay.
Their software is not open source.
So
No.
you made that one for them, customized to what they wanted.
Yes.
And if they should want something changed, you would have to do that, right?
No, even their software is flexible enough. They can add any forms they want. They
Ah.
can eliminate any subjects. They can add any drugs to it. They can pretty much it's pretty flexible.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
can run reports because backend is just a database. So they can
Mm-hmm.
have their own tools. They can get into database and run any reports they want.
Mm-hmm. And
First,
besides being mobile, what do you want Tateda? Would you like what's different between Tateda and let's say another electronic data capture system that let's say a sponsor or a CRO is using at 100 sites for a particular trial? Do you think Tateda, your platform, can handle that also?
yes, I can handle that. What I think, it's my personal opinion. I study some other application. I think the way I built those forms is easier and simpler. Maybe because I don't have that extensive knowledge of clinical trials, I took another approach. And I look at, as a developer, would look something at the process. So what I did in my process, I tried to optimize it and try to eliminate any errors, human errors, data errors from get-go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very flexible. You can assign certain validation rules. It's very dynamic. You can run any validation, pretty much, well, almost simple validation. You cannot run really complicated, but this is customization. And this is science to build dynamic rule engines and all. So it doesn't
Right.
support a lot of complexity in the rules, but simple rules which can be done pretty straightforward, and anybody can do it with a little bit of learning. My study, I can support multiple tenants. I can run number of clinical studies. I can repeat studies. I have a library for created forms, so you can reuse them from one study to another, multi-sites.
Mm-hmm.
The idea, I can set up study, and let's say you have 100 forms. It will probably take me. Well, it depends how you prepare your forms. I can import your forms from Excel, and I have seen quite a few other applications doing that. You create a form in Excel and you import that. But my application actually designed to build form online from get-go. But I do support back compatibility with other software where you can just dump your data through the Excel, it will build. So anyway, I can, if I have no data source of any kind of electronic form, I can pretty much set up a study. Well, it depends on how many forms, but let's say it's 50 forms. Probably going to take me a day to do it. So think of how much time you would save for people entering the data.
Right, right. And I know some coordinators. I work at a clinic, and once you get past the HIPAA issues and the FDA Part 11 electronic systems security, which I'm sure we can make those compliant, coordinators would love being able to access this platform from their mobile device, and monitors CRAs also, I'm sure. Now, does your platform permit queries? And these are corrections that the system recognizes. So, for example, if let's say I'm entering a data from my study, and let's say the inclusion exclusion criteria says I cannot enroll anyone over the age of 65. Okay, and let's say I enter in the database in the electronic data capture system someone who's 66. I forgot, I made a mistake, but I'm entering his age as it is. Will the platform be able to immediately query that and say, hey, this is out of the parameters? Will it flag it, or will a human have to do that?
Well, if that is just a simple number comparison, as you mentioned, that's really simple. Yes, it will support that. This is just you inject the rule for specific field.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That will do it. First of all, it will not allow you to enter that value. To start with.
Okay.
You will, let's say you try to save the data, it will run validation on submission, not post-process.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It will warn you and say, well, sorry, you cannot enter because you're violating the certain rule. Something like that, yes, that can be done, that can be validated. If there is multiple dependency, one field depends on another and on another, no, it's not supported. Maybe that can be for next release or next
release. Yeah, you would need a human to still go in there and look at what it is that they're looking at. Another important query that usually in these big systems that get triggered automatically without human involvement is visit window. So let's say visit 1 for the patient must be on a certain date, and then visit 2 for that patient must be within 7 days or 10 days. And let's say the actual visit occurred 11 days. The system will be able to immediately issue a flag again, similar to the age. Would that be similar?
Well, system will not issue the flag, but it's built in your scheduling. I have a scheduling module where you can define the days in deviation. Let's say, as you mentioned, this next visit should be scheduled in certain day frame, right? Date frame. When you schedule those appointments, you cannot schedule if it violates your rules, and all those rules are dynamic. That's supported, but it will not give you any warning. You just can't schedule an appointment.
Right.
You cannot schedule or reschedule appointment if it's not in a specified date range.
I get it.
So it's kind of supported, but it's, if somebody didn't make to the appointment and you need to reschedule that, you will not be able to do that.
Right. I get it. These are usually the. Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
No, so if something like that would happen, you need specific admin rights to be able to override that rule, and you can actually do so. Regular cleric will not be able to do that. You need specific administrative rights in order to override that deviation from the rule.
So you need the specific privileges. Yeah, because I'm imagining that this can work in. Now, is your goal to make this open source, or do you want to keep it closed?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm planning actually to release this maybe as free for non-profit organization, but still keep it closed, not open source.
Right. Yeah, especially when you're trying to commercialize it. I think if you can make customized forms, and especially the mobile thing, I think the mobile thing would be huge, because that's definitely the wave of the future. I mean, we're already there. Clinical trials is always 5 or 10 years behind. So it's not until very recently that most trials are entered into electronic systems. 7 years ago, we were still using paper CRF for most of this stuff. So mobile, I can definitely see as being a huge selling point if you can pull this off. And if you don't mind, as we wrap up, I'm going to go through some questions I got from viewers regarding EDC systems. And I may be able to answer some. You may be able to answer some, so we can just kind of go through it. What types of brands and EDC software are available for use right now? So who are some of the competitors?
Well, there's a lot of competitors. Well, Oracle probably would be the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot compete. I cannot compete with Oracle.
Right.
There's few open source projects which is going on. Open Clinica, pretty good product. It's open source. It's very popular. RedCap doesn't have all functionality. It's really good product as well. It's been on the market for a couple of years. A lot of people like this product, especially in research institutions and universities. So that's widely spread. Other products, there's quite a few. It's eClinica and ePharma, you name it. It's just
there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yes. The problem with that is you can't really see their product because nobody gonna share what their product do with you because you're a competitor, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
you know their names, but I don't know details of their product.
Well, me working at a clinic, I have access to many of these, and we can see what they do.
Yeah.
We can definitely talk off the camera afterwards. There's another question. Actually, this is a good one. I did not ask it. Another trend in clinical trials, which I think you can benefit from with your platform, is patient-reported outcomes. So if you give a patient who's in a study a survey to take home with him or her, it would be awesome if they can go online somewhere and enter their data. And that's something simple, like they answer yes or no, or they rate their symptoms on a severity scale. I think that's something your platform can handle. Right?
I'm glad you asked because it already supports that.
So right now UCSD is doing that with your platform.
They can. There's configuration. They can say, well, for this appointment or visit, I don't want you or I don't need you to come to the office to answer my questions. Here's a specific link, one-time use. As soon as you're done with that form, you submit. We'll verify it, and nobody else can access this form anymore.
I think that's good. I think that's a benefit. Yeah, and your former employer, Pfizer, they did the virtual clinical trial. And I don't know what system they used, if any. I should have interviewed the guy. I should have asked him when I interviewed him, but I wasn't that interested in EDC at the time. But this, I'm thinking this can work on that kind of a scale as well.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah, there's a lot
That
we
was
can
the
do.
idea. Go ahead.
Last one. There's a lot, but I'll get to one more. If central database at CRO is developed on Oracle, and the EDC systems that are used in clinical sites will be 100 different varieties, right? How are all these softwares integrated to transfer the clinical data in a proper format? So this one I have no idea how to answer, but I think that's right up your alley.
Well, it will be very difficult. If you're talking about 100 different products, you need somehow to standardize the data. So it's possible to do it. It's a lot of customization. There are some tools you can do that, but pretty much you would use some kind of services and some kind of layer in between, which will understand both sides. It will know how to receive the data from the client application, and it will know how to convert the received data into proper format that Oracle needs for that study. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm not sure if there's any specific tools for that, but I don't think there's the case where you have hundreds of different applications try to run to one single type of Oracle application. They would be probably very similar in data formats.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's possible. Yes, you can do that.
Well, I thank the viewers for the questions. That is a tool. Thank you, Dave and Roy. Thank you, guys. Keep sending these questions to you viewers out there. And, so anything else you'd like to add now that we're ending?
No, I'm really appreciate it. Had a really good time. Thank you so much.
I think so. I think we can talk more afterwards, and hopefully this answered some of these people's questions out there on EDC systems. It's a hot topic lately. Maybe there's other developers out there making these products, so we need to rush to market ASAP.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few groups on LinkedIn related to clinical trials. I do recommend everybody to go and check in some cool topics on LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn is amazing. I tell everyone who watches, especially for this industry, people in this industry, we use Twitter, we use Facebook because we're human beings and we discuss whatever it is we discuss. But on LinkedIn, we discuss clinical trials, and that's if anyone's interested in just clinical trial. I mean, LinkedIn is the place to go. Sure, you can connect with me on Facebook and on Twitter, and I'll talk to you about clinical trials maybe. But on LinkedIn, guaranteed, 99% of my conversations are clinical trial related. So, excellent recommendation. I wanted to give all my clinical trial guru producers a shout out. It's Sarah Elizabeth Siegler, Resolve Research Solutions, Accurate Clinical Trials, Erdhart Clinical Trials, PTNR, Patrick Stone, Darshan Kulkarni, Biopharm Systems, Zymewire, Mozio, South Coast Clinical Trials, Breakthrough Clinical Trials, and St. Paul Medical Research Center in Miami, Florida. If you want to be a clinical trial guru producer, email me, Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I'm only accepting 100, and that is it for life. As lifetime. There will be no more producers after 100 unless there's a parallel universe somewhere. But other than that, it will not happen. So, thank you, and thank you, Slava, very much for coming on, and I will send you this link as soon as it's up, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.